late. We're in Spain and Spanish, so thank you for bearing with that. So I changed the name in the program, so I would like to coin this term, large language machine translation. I don't want to use the term artificial intelligence because artificial intelligence is all type of machine translation that we know. So I would like to be using this to be precise of what we are looking for. So is large language machine translation a viable alternative to customized neural machine translation? Well, yes, it is, but obviously it depends of the user case. Absolutely, exactly, not always. As a matter of fact, in a few cases. As I'm a first comer to Gala, I would like to take the time to present myself so that you know who is talking here. This is the description I asked GPT to do, sorry. And that could be me. We are a small company, small and medium enterprise, more small and medium. And we are going to present what we are doing, okay? So this is my background. I studied first of agronomical engineering, first year, did mathematics, I did physics, chemistry. But I thought, I wanted to be a researcher in the field of biochemistry. So I changed to biology, but then I thought I didn't like the fundamentals of research in biology. So I thought, okay, I'm going to be a translator, and I work for 6 months, and then later on I will be around the world. So it never happened, but yeah, I started working as a freelance translator after finishing studies of translation and interpretation. Soon after that, I started to work in a small and medium enterprise based in San Francisco. There I learned DTP, and I founded Aberlink Translations, where I happen to be the CEO and owner, and happen to be also the marketing and sales director, and happen to be also the quality and operation manager. And happily last year, I was honored with the title of AI Applied Solution Vice President, okay? So I imagine if in the audience there are small, medium enterprises know what I'm talking about. So this is a disclaimer of what I'm going to say here. I'm not a computational linguist, so take that into account. To give me some credits, in the last 20 years, more or less, I had some publication in multilingual. I guess most of the people will know this publication. Well, I did a deep article on TMX standards. By the time we wrote this Spanish for local and global market, which was good because, it was taken by TICON and republished in there. It was co-authored with Igor Zubikaray, and remember this name, 2008, Igor Zubikaray. Then we did, some years later, this review of cloud-based translation memory. We did a survey with 1,000 freelancers, thanks to pros.com. And in the last year, I'm in the role of quality manager. We implemented the standard in the company for medical device, and wrote this article taking advantage. It got republished. I was lucky, it was 2020, the COVID, so they need it. So, well, what are the experts saying? Probably, I don't know, Christian Federman, but he's a principal research manager of Microsoft, and so, this is kind of the IT guy, very honest, and so I really like him, I don't know him, but I like the way he speaks. And basically he's saying, okay, it's very probable that in a few years, few than more, machine translation will be served by large language models for high resource languages. So like the first 20, 30 languages, that's what he's saying. And then he should be the guy that should be here. And then I take this word from John Tipsley, which was this morning here, and that's another expert, another person that did a thesis in machine translation, artificial intelligence. And basically he was saying, okay, there is a hype in machine translation. But the term machine translation has disappeared from the websites. Marketing now, everything is AI, okay? But, you know, so what he was saying, okay, there is a hype, but in very few cases, people are using in production large language models, okay? Because there is no the infrastructure, it's costly, you know, but what is happening is that a lot of people are investigating into this, you know, and we are going to see a lot of, there are already some nice solutions, but we are going to see a lot of things happening soon. Then this research from Tencent, which I would say the Chinese DeepL, and he was saying that, okay, was very impressed how GPT-4 is outperforming for literary novels, for chats in that domains of translation, that GPT-4 is like much better than neural machine translation, you know, the state of the art. And finally, you are interested in a very in-depth report. It's from Nintendo, which is a company, which is kind of a hub where you can connect to the very different machine translator providers. And then, okay, GPT-4 is beginning to show up there in certain domains, in certain language combinations. So the thing is coming, it's clear. And now I would like to present what we've done. And we've seen that what the experts are saying, it makes sense with the data that we have collected. So we're a small company, we have relatively small clients, and we do a lot of instruction for use within medical devices. So I thought, okay, now there's the technology there. There's a lot of things that we can do with a large language model. Perhaps we can get to a point that we have a very, very good specialized translation. So, and that's what we would like to do. So we took an instruction for use, 1,000 words. We did fine-tuning with Google AutoML and OpenAI 3.5. Today, you cannot do fine-tuning with GPT-4. It's under evaluation, so it's not ready. We did English into European Spanish because it was easier for us to see the quality. And we think we can correlate this data with French, Italian, German. This was something that we wanted to have because the English were deceptive. It was not very good. It was of a Korean company that was not very well translated into English. There were some things that it would be hard to solve. We did a Comet evaluation. I don't know, for those of you that are not familiar with Comet, this is an automated way to evaluate machine translation. And we did a translation quality assessment and a terminology evaluation of a combination of these models. Okay, we got Google Translator, no train, Google AutoML, it's customizing Google. Then we did DeepL and we did GPT 3.5 with prompts and fine-tuning, okay? We compare all this. So this is the application we have built so that we can handle SDL Studio packages. So we can integrate that in a workflow with XTRF. Then this connects you to the stock model or fine-tuned models of OpenAI. We can give them prompts, and you can play with the temperature. We didn't play with that so far. We just used the recommendation from OpenAI. And there is a limitation of what we did because we work at the segment level. And that's something that it's, big change in large language models that you can send piece of text, several sentences, and then they will have a context window. So I expect to have better results once we advance in what we've done. This is the first thing that we're gonna do, just to send more segments. Another thing that's what MemoQ is doing. They are in the prompt right now. They are embedding the glossary. You have one or fuzzy matches. So, and that's something that works pretty well. There's some papers from researchers showing this, and MemoQ were very conservative, and they have implemented something that really works. Fuzzy matches from the translation memory, and here we don't know what we're gonna do because there's a lot of things that you can do with large language model. RAGs basically will mean that you can give the large language model a document and it can look into it. So for a specific terminology, so that would be the way to go. But anyway, first thing that we did, something that we are hearing in all the specialists, experts, how important prompts are, okay? So we thought, okay, but it's very hard to write a prompt that it works and there is no methodology that will assure. There's some recommendations, but it's kind of hard. So we try here, and we said, okay, we are gonna have different variables in a prompt, and we thought, okay, it would be subject matter, makes sense to have the subject matter. Document description will give a good context to the large language model. We put some keywords of the document, and we thought, okay, we can give some industry market leaders to have the terminology that is preferred in the industry. So we didn't work with this, but obviously, and that's very powerful, with a large language model, you can ask him the tone or, follow certain conventions. We did, and I think in September, it was quite pretty open. It was pretty amazing what we found. Like, we needed to do a translation project from Arabic into Italian, with a lot of people working at it. Well, 6 people working at the same time. We wanted to give the translators machine translation, so to help them to meet the deadline. And we did, okay, we had that already and thought, okay, we're gonna try it with GPT 3.5 and Google. It was like Google Translator, no customization. So, and the surprise was that the head translator that didn't know, obviously, what was the source of the machine translation, chose to work with the GPT 3.5. And another nice thing that happened is that we wrote a prompt, and there was a document that were literally hundreds of Italian names, and we wanted to keep the Italian name and have the transliteration in Arabic, and GPT did that in I would say 60% of the cases, and it helped to do the project faster. Okay, but in this case, we didn't use any of these variables, so we thought, okay, you're a professional translator specialized in dental implants, translating instruction for use for dental abutments. Use the preferred terminology used by the market leaders, Henry Schein and Dentsply and Sirona. So, and then we said, okay, let's combine that, and see what happens, and well, you see there all the different combination, the possible different combination with that 4 variables. So we tested that in GPT 3.5 and GPT 3.5 fine-tune, and we tested that 3 times in 2 days, and we used Comet evaluation to do that with Mateo. I don't know, Mateo's free service from a university to do Comet evaluations, okay? So, and these were the results for the GPT 3.5. And in this case, well, it makes kind of sense, because here, that was no prompt, just you are a professional translator, and was the lowest results. This is the mean of 3 times that we did this, and they weren't consistent. So the 3 times, they were very different results. So anyway, finally, we choose to use this prompt in this case. And then we did the same thing with the fine-tuned GPT 3.5. And in this case, it didn't make sense. You know, it didn't make sense because you are a professional translator, and then afterwards, you are a professional translator specialized in dental implants, and you know, like, didn't make sense. And here we got like 3 that had the same evaluation. So what we did to choose one is like we measure the standard deviation of the 3 measures that we had and say, okay, wait, we're not use the one that has less standard deviation. I don't know, like the standard deviation is statistics term, and basically means the difference between the lower and the highest value of the measure we did. So here is again, no dental implant here. So we use this, but and I heard this. It's hard to have a logic when you are doing the prompts and getting the result out of that. For us, obviously, it didn't work because it didn't make sense what we were thinking about. So this is just to show the means the evaluations in the GPT 3.5 were slightly lower, the evaluations from GPT 3.5 fine-tuned, which, okay, made sense. That's what we were looking for. But, you know, the difference is not that big. So now this is the comment evaluations of the different combinations of the models. So, and this is the results that we got, okay? So we see Google AutoML was the best, you know, in our case for the comment evaluation. DeepL was second one. Okay, you can see there, like, and this is the one that we were expecting to do good because that's what we were looking for, and it did. It was like in the 3rd place, not far away from GPT-4. But okay, these are comment evaluation. These are automated. These are not things that you can really rely on, you know. So I think it's state of the art. It's one of the best, but it's not. Finally, what we need to trust is human evaluation. And here are the translation quality assessments that we use with current standards, with, you know, like categories of errors, gravity of errors, minor, major, fatal, and those are the results we got. And here we see that again, Google AutoML was the best. Here, what we have here at the penalty points. Like you're gonna have an error, and you're gonna give a category, and you're gonna say is it major or minor, and depending on that, you have penalty points. And this is quite a standard methodology for translation quality assessment. We used SDL student interface. So, and here some of the comment that the evaluator was Igor Zubikaray. And so for me, this is the result I really trust because it's a person that I know him, I know how good he is as a translator, how professional he is. And obviously, probably if he does this again, I don't know if the results will be the same. But you know, this is the result we got in the first place. And here, what we see, and that's why I say yes, it's a viable way, because here we have GPT 3.5 with the prompt, fine-tune, and doing, you know, not far away from Google AutoML. You see the type of errors, AutoML did very well with terminology, and you know, like GPT did not that well. Here we have the classification according to the penalty points, and say you can see a little bit nicer the evaluation we got from the different models and model combinations. We did as well that apart from the translation quality assessment, we have like 10 terms that we said, okay, this is the best translation to do. And depending of it's good, like if it was very good, was 1. If no results at all, 0, and if sometimes it was inconsistent, but it get the good term, we give a 0.5. Anyway, so the results were correlating quite well because, again, Google AutoML was the best regarding terminology. So, finally, these are the numbers. And these numbers, I don't think they are very, these are the numbers today. But, like, we know how this is changing. I was hearing yesterday from MemoQ CEO that they think that GPT right now, it's like pricing less than the cost they have. So, and this big change because, like, this is like really, really cheap, GPT 3.5. And GPT 4, it's like 30 times, at least 30 times more expensive, so it's a huge difference. So, but this is their numbers right now because with the fine-tuning with AutoML, you need to fine-tune the whole model, and that will cost, eventually, that will cost like $300. We had a very small translation memory, like 3,000 units, and that's why, like we pay like $220 for that. And the results were good. So these are the numbers, but I don't think that's gonna change. I think, I don't know, sooner or later 3.5 will be deprecated, and I don't think that we're gonna use any more of that, and we'll see what happens in the future regarding prices. So final considerations. So if you're a small LSP, we have been looking into the option that we find in the market, and today, Studio 2022 gives you access with prompting to GPT 3.5 and 4 Xtalk. You cannot connect to a model that you can fine-tune. And they're telling me that they are going to expand this offer now in the next version, 24, I'm thinking. And GPT MemoQ doing something, I think like 10, they're telling me to finish, so 20. Okay, MemoQ, it's another intensor. You can connect to GPT, OpenAI, and the other large language models from MemoQ, Phrase, SDL Studio, and Custom MT. Again, you can connect through them to GPT-4. Well, actually, they removed GPT-4, but GPT 3.5, and you can also prompt the call to the API. So right now, there's no fine-tuning that you can connect to unless you go to the interface on OpenAI, and there you can fine-tune a model easily through their interface. And I think with Intento, you can connect to that customized model. But Intento will implement that, I think, in the future, they told me. So, well, the future of machine translation, as Christian Federman said, I think it's large language models. I mean, we're going to see this later or later. And the same thing that happened with root-based statistical machine translation, neural machine translation, now we are with large language models. But probably I don't think the jump in quality is not going to be like statistical and neural machine translation, but we're going to see a lot of different creative solutions that would be very amazing. And thank you very much for listening. So we have time for someone? No.